listening to The Malting Hour with Brandon and Tony. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook by searching The Malting Hour. And coming soon, themaltinghour.com. Now, on to the show. Welcome to another episode of The Malting Hour. I am Tony Golick.
And I'm Brandon Winninger.
And we are joined here today with...
Clint. Lake Effect Clint.
Yeah, Lake Effect Clint. And we're sitting here at Lake Effect Brewing here on the northwest side of Chicago. Clint, thanks for having us stop by and talk to you.
Thanks for being on the podcast.
Yeah.
Thanks for finally interviewing me after interviewing everyone else.
We saved the best for last.
Yeah.
Actually, there is a list of, like, we made a list at the beginning of, or the end of last year. We're like, who are we gonna talk to, who are we gonna try and meet up with? And hey, man,
Clint was top of the list for this year.
You're on March. You were there. You're the first place we've come to this year.
There's a huge list of other people that we just never got around to. It was like, whatever. Yeah. Because it ends up, like most of the podcasts just end up me and Tony just wanting to end up talking to each other. And Saturday morning, all right, let's do something, talk about something, and that's how it works out. But
sure.
This is awesome. So we're actually sitting in with this. This is the Barrel Warehouse.
Yeah, the Barrel.
It's our barrel room. Yeah. Yep.
And then, comparatively,
I'll take a picture.
Tony's going to take a picture. We'll post that when we post the episode. But so comparatively to other places, you may think that's not impressive, but for where they're at, this is awesome. And it's such a cool spot just because it's in a place that you would never expect. It's right behind a costume shop, and it's part of that building. And I remember when you first moved in here, there was like all the garbage that was in all of these rooms, and
it was a mess.
Your dream was like, I'm gonna put a Barrel Warehouse in there. I'm like, yeah, someday. And then and this is completely different than what it was then. Like, there's not like mannequins and all this other stuff just sitting in here anymore. It's like, it's awesome. It's pretty cool.
It's kind of like a pristine space in a way. It's kind of a.
I remember.
We like to think of it as a sanctuary in a way.
I remember coming here for one of the first VIP events that I was got to be a part of, and there was like a lot of cans in here, I think, at that point. Or maybe not that, but no, maybe it was just like storage, and there was like a table, and it was just, we all kind of hung out here, and the keezer that you had was over here, and it was just a very small gathering, and I was like, man, this is so cool that a brewery is doing this, and like it's here in my neighborhood, and I got super excited about it.
So going back to like talking about that, like that, all like the beginning, like how... I mean, Lake Effect is a brewery, but
it sounded like you were about to say lakefront.
No, but
I just want to point out that when people hear that,
there is a difference. Lake Effect and Lakefront. Lakefront
and Great Lakes.
Lakefront is in Milwaukee.
Which they have a Lake Effect IPA.
Great Lakes is in Cleveland.
Really? Yeah. Great Lakes is in Cleveland, Cincinnati, or Cleveland.
Cleveland. Yeah, because it's on the water.
One of the C's.
And then Lake Effect is in Jefferson Park, Chicago. Right off
Jeff Park, Portage Park. I was just going to tell you that the whole boundaries is Jeff Park is important.
But I get the idea of a brewery and everything. But how did you end up here? Like, what drew you to this place originally, and why? Was this your start?
Well, I mean, I've always wanted to have like a small brewery, take it one step beyond what I was doing at home brewing. And I've always I wanted to own it myself, and it was more of a, more of a kind of a lifestyle, I guess, trying to just make beer for the neighborhood. And so we found this place, very cheap rent. We actually looked at a lot of places. We had realtors helping us. They kept showing us restaurant spaces. They were trying to make it like a lot bigger than it was. I said, no, you don't understand. Like, I just need like 1,500 square feet, get some tanks in here, do a couple barrel system, and we're going to just try it out for a while. We're not like, diving in deep in this
You weren't looking to like do the full brew pub and go balls to the wall and be like, oh, let's hope this succeeds. And
I funded it myself with our savings. We had some friends and family help out, but that was the idea, is to just be as independent as possible and do it for to make world-class beer for fairly low cost. There's some breweries out there, I won't name names, but they talk about how they're not like home brewers, that they're professionals and they've spent millions of dollars and whatever, and that we make beer that's just as good as what they make. So I mean, it's so that's all I wanted. Just something very simple, very bare bones. I think that's what I've got here. Yes, I would like to spruce it up a little bit and have a brew pub or a tap room soon. But we've definitely have done a good job of phase one, which is the brewery. But we're small and we grow as we sell beer. We make a little bit of money. We put it back into the company, and so we haven't borrowed a lot. We haven't brought on huge investors. It's one reason why we've stayed small, essentially. And so I've tried to keep the independence as best I can with that. But that's why we've never really grown that big. So
it's funny because I can actually attest to that. I was just looking at pictures because 2 years ago, around this time, is when I was actually working for you.
Yep, that's right.
And I got a chance to see distribution when I was driving around the van and making deliveries to the suburbs, and then the bars that I didn't realize or even think like, oh, fuck, Lake Effect's on tap over here. That's cool. Like, crap, what I'm trying to think of it. What is it? Lincoln
Station?
Yeah, Lincoln Station. Like, I was in that area a whole lot. I love that bar. That bar is super cool. And to know that that's like, a place that I was able to go and deliver. Those steps were terrifying, by the way, to deliver.
The
oh my God. But everybody was so nice about me being terrified. It was great. But yeah, I mean, you guys have, for the size of the operation here and you staying as independent as you are, how far you've gotten your beer out is pretty impressive. I mean, like, we're talking suburbs that, that's a good hour drive to some of the suburbs here from Chicago. I mean, that's...
Well, I mean, since you've been gone...
I knew you were going to sing it. Don't sing it.
And you left on very good terms.
Yes. So. I moved on, unfortunately. I would have loved to stay, Clint.
But yeah, I mean, we have shrunk the geography and have focused on certain things. Obviously, any relationships that we made early on that are continuous, we continue to nurture those. And so, like a place like Lincoln Station, we've been doing business with them for many years, and we just keep them supplied and happy, and
you have a beer on
we
the
cherish
regular
that.
on tap,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of like one of the main lessons of distribution. Is once you have a regular account, do everything you can to keep them.
Yeah.
Don't run out of beer on them.
Sure.
And communicate very well with them. So like the customers we have, there's not many of them, but they're mostly long-term customers that we've gained trust, and we have a nice working relationship. And so we've decided, keep those, and we don't really go after a lot of new accounts. Now, what happens sometimes is one of these long-standing relationships, someone will leave the company or a place will close down, and then that will open up some allocation to go somewhere else.
Sure.
And then we kind of scramble for a while,
Filling that gap.
Fill the gap, and it's kind of like dating, you go on a lot of dates, and you don't get a second date, and then you find that nice relationship, and then it's mutual, and it's actually a lot. That's kind of how it is. Like you'll try it. Like I just got that text where someone wants me to come and like sample beer.
Well, it's funny because we're friends on Facebook, and it's funny to see some of the things that like you post on Facebook, just like of how things really are like behind the scenes of
It's a little personal sometimes.
No, for sure. But when you said dating, that's exactly what I equated it to. Just I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah, I get the
hey, so what's up? Do you want to? No,
yeah.
no, that's not okay. Well, I guess we're not going on a date at all. You just you've
Yeah.
been leading me on.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
You're
why
welcome-
did you even return?
You're
my
welcome for the
email?
free drinks, basically.
Yeah, don't tell me to come next Wednesday when you're not going to show up. Like, but it happens a lot. But yeah, and that's something that anyone who is thinking of starting a brewery or has a young brewery is the realization of developing the relationships and distribution is like that's like as important as what you're brewing in a lot of respects.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
And it was definitely a wake up call. How to service the account, how to invest your time and support your brand with their brand. It really is a team effort. So that was I think a lot of homebrewers say, well, we're going to make these awesome beers and then we'll get all these accounts and everybody will love our beer, but it's so much more complicated than that, and it's all about relationships and maintaining the relationships.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's smarter to go the route of starting the small operation, because I've seen breweries, there's been places that have gone and been like, we're going full brew pub, doing this, and this is what we're going to do, and we're going to put all our beer out there, and honestly, if your beer sucks, you're going to struggle.
Yeah.
But if you're just a small operation and you've gone through a lot of beers, and there's probably beers you don't brew anymore, but it's a trial and error, but you're small enough to where you can kind of get by with those mistakes, learn from those mistakes, and then know what doesn't work, perfect on that, and then succeed. But if you're a brew pub, the base of your operation is really going to be your beer, and you can scale everything else with food, but if your beer sucks, people aren't going to come.
Yeah.
So being this small and kind of the way you've done it, and we'll talk about kind of the future plans that I know you have, but having this operation where you're
building an empire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, building,
Watch out, AB and Bev.
Cranking out these beers that are just, and you said world-class beers, but some of them are you have delicious beers that people enjoy, and you got there from going through some beers that didn't work as well, so you've scaled those back, tweaked recipes, changed names, done whatever, and then you got to a place where you're successful, and your accounts call back for those beers. So I think that's the perfect way to kind of do this.
Yeah, I agree. To start in a situation like this and then be able to grow, I feel is, and this isn't an insulting way. I feel it's a safer way to make sure, hey, is this something that I'm really doing? Because, you were saying, or both of you were saying, people have asked me and Mike, stupid Mike, who's only on the show once, my brother-in-law, oh, why don't you guys open up a brewery? It's not that easy. It's just because you know how to, brew a beer doesn't mean oh, well, I'm just going to open a brewery, which, that bubble kind of has happened, and, some have succeeded and some have not. So I feel it's safer to do it kind of like this, and safer in a positive way, not safer man, Clint, grow a pair and just, do something bigger. I think it makes sense.
We're constantly in the middle of doing what we do well, or doing something much bigger. And
well, you do a lot of collaborations and not even obviously Stephanie, Fanny that's one thing, collaboration, but I heard you mention you're doing something for the bar in Rosemont, the Caddy Shack.
We're doing we make their house beer.
I didn't know that until tonight.
We've been doing we've been doing a lot of stuff like that. We set up a lot of projects and
pump the brakes, Brandon.
There you go. Yeah, that's a nice
Got the full pour.
But we do a lot of custom projects. We got into that business maybe about 4 years ago with the Arboretum, and
which is one of my favorites.
Yeah, we enjoyed doing that.
The Arbor Oak is really, really good.
Because the shelves are at at the liquor stores are crazy right now. And
There's so
for the first 3 years of our existence, we existed solely on the shelves. And so going into more of the custom route, we've been able to have more predictable ordering, predictable deliveries, and we're pretty good at it. I mean, like we've branded it well. We've streamlined our agreements. It's a nice way to do things. Yes, do we give up a little bit of branding? Sure, yeah, but I mean, our name is on every can.
Yeah, but I mean, something like that for like the Arboretum.
In a way, people are kind of like, oh yeah, okay. So, and a lot of people have come in because of our collaborations, the Arboretum or Super Dog or
and those are two.
The Botanic Garden.
I feel like those are the two. Not to take away from the other ones, because I was going to mention the Omega Yeast as well that you guys did, which is awesome. But I feel like Superdog, which if you're not from Chicago and you're listening to this, because apparently we do have listeners who are not from Chicago. Superdog is one of the coolest hot dog stands. And there's two spots. Drive-in hot dog places in Chicago. Look it up. It's iconic in the city. And actually, I don't work far from the Wheeling location.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
But that's a good question, though. So how did that collaboration come to be?
Well, it's we had a friend who liked our beer a lot, and he happened to be the grandson-in-law of the family, and so his name's Ben.
I was going to say, is it Ben?
Yeah, it's Ben. And Ben had pitched the idea to me one day in passing, and I didn't really think too much about it at the beginning, and but then I went home and thought about it and said, wow, that's a great idea. So the idea was just to make a beer that pairs perfectly with a Chicago hot dog, mainly the Super Dog, which is unique in its own way, and I can go on and on about it. But
we'll just do a whole episode about the Super Dog.
It is, it is.
Super Dogs.
It's a very unique hot dog in Chicago. It's not Vienna beef. It's not. Yeah. It's not your typical hot dog. It's its own sort of creation, and what they do really well there is they're really good at packaging and the marketing of the product, and that's what differentiates them from Gene and Jude's and.
Yeah, anybody
pretty much any Vienna.
Anybody who doesn't know what Superdog is, just Google Superdog Chicago, and you'll totally understand.
Super DAW.
Thank you, DAWG.
Yeah, and that's that's like part of my vocabulary is DAWG. And
it's just how I spell dog all the time now.
Yeah, so it's interestingly, their hamburgers are really fucking good.
I've never had a hamburger from them.
I know.
Once.
I know it seems like why, like, but the family turned me on to it. They're like, yeah, by the way, we make really good hamburgers. I'm like, all right, yeah. Well,
there's tamales on their menu too.
Yeah,
really?
Are they
like are they like homemade tamales, or are they like the Chicago like frozen tamales?
Either way, those would
like because I love those because those frozen ones like I've had Ian I've had a conversation with my friend Ian who makes like real tamales, but he and I talk about like how much we love those like frozen, not the best.
The Chicago tamale.
Yeah, the Chicago tamale. So what is it that you just poured again? Sorry.
It's called Botanic Overload. It's a wild ale aged in Koval gin barrels. It's the second time we've used the gin barrels, but you still get a pretty intense gin experience. Obviously, the juniper.
So you've already had beers in that barrel?
We did a Goza, and we've been doing a lot of gin Gozas.
Yeah. And, I remember trying some last year.
Yeah, I would say like with the direction of brewery, I don't know what it is about the Goza, but we've done every imaginable kind of Goza, and we love aging them in barrels on different wood types or different spirit types. They're obviously all oak, but so we do gin Goza, we do we're kind of like a Scotch distillery, so there's I mix it all in. Like I've got the Barrel Club, which is like basically a wine club.
Yeah.
And
we're gonna let you plug that entire thing on this episode.
yeah. But that's how
Cool.
that's how we sell our barrel. Barrel creations is through a subscription service.
Yeah.
And because when we try and sell it to a store or a bar, like first of all, a lot of bars just don't want to pay that much money for a light style ale, but and then we'll sell it to like a store, but then we'll run out like right away because these particular gin barrels are only 30 gallons, so we're only going to get like 10 cases out of them, and then it's done, and then so
it's definitely a very unique
yeah.
flavor, and this is coming from someone who so I've had the fresh gin beers that and me being someone who I honestly don't really care for gin that much, so the juniper is very strong to me, but I'm also someone who likes cilantro, so that's weird to me that I wouldn't, not that I don't care for juniper.
Weird that you like cilantro?
Yeah, well no.
How does that what does that have to do?
No, so I feel like if you like cilantro, you should like juniper just because I know they're not
you
the
should
same.
not like
no,
juniper?
you should. I feel like
Yeah,
if you like
it's
cilantro,
herbal.
you should
Yeah.
like juniper. Sorry, that's kind of where I'm going with that. I like cilantro. I don't care for juniper. And I will say this, for a second run barrel,
Yeah.
I like this more than the fresh. But I feel like anybody who likes gin would like both of them regardless. But as the second
Gin's-
time using a
yeah,
barrel,
gin's
this is delicious.
interesting.
This is
Yeah.
really good.
Obviously, juniper is the core botanical. That's what makes gin,
Right.
just through the name. But
And I get why people like gin, and I get why people don't like cilantro.
yeah, and if you don't have the botanical, if you don't have the juniper in it, then it's just vodka,
Right.
or flavored vodka. But
This is really. I mean, I was
But yeah.
saying this before that all the gozas, the different versions or whatever that you've done for gozas here that I've been trying, I really enjoy. I really like.
Yeah.
So I remember coming to a VIP thing where we were figuring out the saline solution of how we were gonna do that, and like trying all the other. That was one of the most fun VIP events.
oh yeah, we had
I've
a
ever
table
been to.
with all the ingredients, and people were
There was like 10, 15 of us.
yeah.
It wasn't a very big a group, but it was enough of us to sit there and try like how much of the saline solution we want to add for like the salt in there, and then adding different flavors. I remember Meyer lemon being one of the flavors.
I know. I still have not done a Meyer lemon.
Well, and after you told the story, growing, like, did your parents have a Meyer
My parents
lemon
have a tree,
Yeah.
and every time I go visit them, it's always like off season. But
Of course.
but they're delicious, and yeah, I did find a Meyer limoncello. I've been wanting to try. Yeah, I mean, I just the part of one of the key threads of this brewery are the ingredients, and sometimes we latch on to certain ingredients or a style, and we just take it to the nth degree. And so, like back to the
run with it,
gozas, like we're trying the goza on so many different spirit types. We actually have a goza series, which is like we have the gin goza. So you're trying the gin wild ale.
Yeah.
So this is like funky and fruity. And
I love this.
it's all it's been aged for forever. But the gin goza is like a 6-month age, and it's like juniper soda. It's like, I love it because I love juniper.
That I believe.
Yeah, it's wonderful. But we have tequila. We have a tequila goza.
That one I liked as
which
well.
gives us like a margarita type effect.
That was super
We've
cool.
got rum. And
Not
so the
had
rum
that.
adds like a Caribbean effect. We're going to fruit some of those just for fun. We've got, we don't do bourbon on the goza. It's too heavy of a flavor.
Yeah, I can't
But
imagine that.
we do have apple brandy.
Was there?
And we have Malort. We have a Malort. Yeah, so CH Distilling threw a Malort barrel at us and said, do something with it. And so,
we will.
I feel like that makes sense doing it.
But it makes it,
there.
the series is cool. It's like all the cans look like, it's just the stripe is different color. And it says And then we have port, we have Madeira wine, and we have red wine, like Cabernet.
Yeah.
And so we've got like the grapey kind of flavors. The Madeira wine one I'm really excited about. That was a really expensive barrel. That was like a $500 barrel.
Holy shit.
So yeah,
I was about to say cow and then change it straight to shit because it's our show.
And we're putting a 4.8% beer in it. So it's not like it's not like I'm going to sell it for $15 a bottle.
Go ahead and throw a quad in there.
Yeah, so it's
wow.
It was a very interesting project, and we'll see how it plays out. But one of my dreams, I don't have a tap room, but
not yet,
is to have them all on tap at the same time. And I think Beer on the Wall is actually game for that.
That would be cool.
Because technically we call it the Champagne Super Goza, which is the Cabernet.
Yeah.
One of it. So we just took it to expand to all these woods.
Yeah, and that'd be super cool to sit down and have a flight of all the.
And be able to taste each of the barrels.
Through all that.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about.
You don't see many places that, at least that I know of, that do that with the Goza. Like you get like barrel aged stouts where it's like different variants like that. A Goza's, that's a great idea.
It's all every. I mean, we could try the bourbon too, just for fun, but. I don't think the flavor's going to work out. But, but we'll try.
I'd try it.
The apple brandy worked really well, and a lot of the barrels previously had bourbon in it before doing the brandy or the Malort or even a rum as well. So it sometimes it can work.
So have you released one with the rum yet, though? I thought.
I was going to say
we've had it. Last year, we had a barrel that we kind of forgot about, and it was a mixture of a lime Goza and our cherry Goza, and we blended them together. And we put it in the rum barrel, and it was phenomenal. And I knew, and what was funny was I was judging a FOBAB, and I tried a fruited Goza. It came across, and I think it won a medal because we sent it along. It was so good. And as I was trying it, it dawned on me that holy shit, I have a barrel just like this sitting. And we have got. As soon as I leave here, I'm gonna go home and try it. I can't enter it in the contest. It's too late. But I went back here and I tried it, and that was phenomenal. I'm like, wow, like someone like kind of beat us to it, but we were on the same wavelength.
That's awesome.
And so that's.
So do you still have any Goza aging in brandy right now?
I have
brandy.
Yeah, I have the brandy one over there on that side. This is a sherry butt.
Yeah, I was going to ask about this. We're looking at a giant in front of us. There's massive.
This is a single malt. This is Speyside.
Jesus Christ.
Single malt sherry butt.
That's probably the largest barrel I've ever seen.
Could double up as a casket.
Yeah. Small casket.
It's nice. 132 gallons.
Oh my god.
It's just under 32.
It's
small
There
potatoes.
are barrels. If you go to Scotch distilleries, like some distilleries, they only do sherry casks, and so it's just was it Pedro Jimenez Oloroso sherry cask.
Man, Mike's got
with some kind of Speyside whiskey in there. So
I couldn't imagine trying to fill something like that. Mike's got a couple of like 5-gallon barrels that he needs to like fill up.
This is the biggest barrel obviously it's the biggest barrel we ever done.
That's so cool.
But when we started the barrel program, it was these little ones, actually 5-gallon ones.
Yeah.
So like I think when we started, we had like 6 5-gallon.
That's amazing.
We did a beer with South Loop Brewing before they were even a brewery, and then they later became Hot Butcher.
Oh, really?
So we actually did a cool concept. It was we did a rum It was like a rum, vanilla aged, barrel aged, like barley wine, and then with a small beer on the backside. We call it like Sailor's. What is it? Sailor's Dawn, Sailor's Warning, Sailor's Delight. And it was kind of a fun project. Yeah, so we did that with the small barrels, and then we just gradually we did some Koval. They're 30-gallon.
Yeah, it just kind of got bigger.
They're 30.
Bigger.
Yeah, 30. The Whiskey Acres, we met them through, that's on top. There's a 25-gallon bourbon, and we met them through the Arboretum. So they make the
This
Arboretum.
almost looks like the barrel in my
Yeah, we had,
basement.
yeah.
But I think this is 30. Ours was 15, right?
Yeah, ours is smaller.
Yeah, 15. Yeah, we don't have those yet. I am going to Journeyman on Sunday to pick up, because we do a festival with them every year in October where it's just their barrels and people put.
Yeah, what is that? What festival is that?
They call it the Isla. They're the owner of Journeyman. Their daughter's Isla,
Okay.
which Isla's the island in Scotland that has a good peated scotches. But
You mean Islay?
yeah.
Isn't that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
I did for a
tell some
long
stories
time.
about that one, but yeah, which we have one over there. Last year we did Lefroy quarter cask. Those two barrels with the black are Ardbeg.
Which is funny because I now know about Lefroy. That when you say that, that actually resonates with me. Before, that did not resonate with me.
Yeah.
So I'm very familiar with that because I just actually had some recently. All right, so before we get into that, let's take a quick break. I need to use the restroom. And we'll be right back.
Sounds good.
And we got a lot more to talk about. So. Yeah.
I got some radio eyes solid to my heart. You're the only thing that's coming in. I'm getting started from my better sense. Nothing on the FM. See, I've been praying for a signal, a sign that you haven't sent. You might be an angel falling from the heavens, or a stranger from a garden party, drunk and roaming ever since. I got a radio on, you're the only thing that's coming in. Static from my medicine, standing on my betterment. I'm paying for a signal, or a sign that you haven't seen. Running from a place where they don't make people like me. I keep the car running, I keep my bags packed. I don't wanna leave, just don't wanna leave last. I've been praying for your touch, your glance, your hand. And he's a better kisser than you think, Mom. He's a better listener than most. We took pretty pictures by the sea, Mom. Fell in love and sailed off. And when the sun of man had me in his clutches, the sun of man had me in his clutches, the sun of man had me in his clutches, the sons of man pulled me to the touch, and I loved it.
Welcome back to the Malting Hour. I'm still here with Tony,
Yeah, it's
and
me.
we have Clint from Lake Effect Brewing.
And we're sitting here in Lake Effect's barrel room, which is super cool. And during the break, I was briefly talking. I was going to say I wanted to mention the first beer that sold me on Lake Effect, and I remember buying it, which I think it's still a Cardinal. It might be a Garfield's. It's now the guy Dan, who is a good friend of mine. He used to be the craft beer purchaser, and then he got shifted to another store and bounced around, and now he's finally in Wicker Park at the Garfield's there.
Oh, you gotta talk to him.
Yeah,
We're not there.
Really? I will reach out to him because that was the first place I bought Espresso Gone Stout.
Oh.
And when I tried Espresso Gone Stout, that beer kind of blew me away because there's so much coffee in that beer, and you guys even put a specific warning: if you do not like coffee, you will not like this beer, or do not buy this beer. Maybe not do not buy, but this is not the beer for you. But that is one of the best coffee beers. I've not had a coffee beer. Equivalent to that. It is, if you like coffee, if you like espresso, that is a beer. And there's not lactose in there, right? It's just straight up stout and
It has
espresso.
lactose in it.
It does? Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy on the lactose.
That's funny because there's no lactose in there, right? No, it's a lot of lactose. It's funny because I don't consider it it's sweet, but it's not like some of the pastry stouts that I've had. Like I do enjoy a good pastry stout. But that to me was like having just a good coffee almost.
Yeah,
like
it's
a
not
cold carbonated coffee.
It's not a real high gravity beer. It's meant to be drinkable, but it does. It kind of mimics like how I like to drink my coffee, which is with milk.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of like I wanted to punch and. With the coffee flavor, not be subtle. I'm subtle with a lot of ingredients, but not with that.
Yeah, that is.
Because that's an ingredient I understand very well, but it's.
You guys have your own bean, don't you? Don't you have your own roasted bean?
Yeah. We
Stivers.
We work with Stivers, and originally that beer was made with. I was trying to pair up with a local coffee shop. It was called Regulus.
Yeah.
Which now Percolator is the coffee house in the same place.
Right.
But when Regulus went out of business, we hooked up with the roaster that was making their coffee,
Which
and
is also the same roaster where Fanny's gets their coffee.
yeah, it was real interesting. Yeah, we have
comes
that
together.
Yeah, we have that in common, which is very interesting because not a lot of people know. Stivers, and so
they're missing out.
that was really interesting. Yeah, once I found out that Fanny's was getting, I was like, "How do you know? How do you know them?" Like, I thought I was like the special one.
Their coffee is so.
Coffee's
good.
really good,
Oh,
and they
man.
freshly roast it. So like when we say we're making a beer, we need X amount. It's there the next day.
Yeah,
And he's roasted it,
awesome.
and it's like degassing. It's like still warm,
It's
and
so
it's
good.
like
That's awesome.
delicious. Yeah.
He one time, at least I remember at Fanny's when they were still in Montrose, and I think I was still working there. He did a red velvet, like red velvet cake coffee that really you could actually taste the chocolate like in the roast of it. It reminded me of I think it was like a Valentine's Day special that they did me when Fanny's had first been open within the first year that they had that, and it was amazing.
Yeah, they do a lot of really nice blends and special roast with the different beans, and we've always stuck to what we originally did, which is like a medium roast Costa Rican blend.
Yeah. That's kind of coffee I drink at
Why
home.
fix it if it's not broke?
Yeah.
But we have used some of their other darker ones, and
Your coffee beers
it's
are
fantastic.
always solid.
yeah,
Which
well,
is
it's because
why-
we have the secret weapon, which is the roaster,
Which
that
is
we
funny
can call
because
and they can show up.
when I come to the homebrew competitions,
Yeah.
I get my coffee from Fanny's.
There you go.
So I like you a latte is made with, and I'm trying to play to my audience here. You guys are the judges. I'm going with the coffee that you guys know. I came very close this last time. But
you were definitely in the top 5 or 6.
I'll take that. I was in the top of something. That's all that matters.
How many people were in it?
There was 6 this time. No, those.
No, it was really good. Yeah,
it
was tough. They were all good. That was
They
a
were
problem.
that was
a big
It
problem.
was the second year that I did it, and and this was the first time that I did it. There was like 12 beers or something, and it was hard for me to try, or not 12,
yeah.
but there was a high number. The second time around when we did it, and I've talked about it on the podcast, there were 6 brewers total.
Yeah.
Mike, my brother-in-law, was a part of it. He also happened to do a brown ale, which I thought was funny. Well, I was going to do a New England IPA, kind of just to be funny, because you guys don't do a New England IPA.
Oh, we would have loved to have done it. Yeah.
But I thought,
As long as it's not a Pilsner.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. But you did
But you
have...
enjoyed it,
but this time around, this last, which is with the Jeff Park Forward group, there wasn't a bad beer on
all
tap
really
that
good.
night. All 6 of us really good beer. And the beer that won was, how do you pronounce it?
Beelzebub.
Beelzebub, which is it's a sweet stout with chipotle peppers.
Yeah.
That's what won, and that was very well deserving. There was all of us homebrewers all agreed. We're like, yeah, that was.
It was pretty good. Yeah. Yeah. That the Schwartz beer were the 2.
Oh, the Schwartz beer. Oh, good.
That was we were going back and forth. It was good that the People's Choice Award was the same as the...
Yeah, which wasn't the same as the last time because...
No, we screwed it up.
Flipped.
Someone
Last year it
wanted
flipped.
to brew a Pilsner. I'm like, yeah, I want to brew a Pilsner. We're going for that one.
The Pilsner was still good,
But
though.
it was really good.
Yeah,
it was like
Pilsner was
well
really good,
executed.
yeah.
But we got into a lot of trouble with that beer because we never brewed it before. And the first one didn't come out so good, so we had to brew it again.
Well, and that was awesome.
Yeah,
That
we could have done a double IPA. We would just
we got it.
We would knock it out in our sleep. But
Right, so now I know what I'm doing for the next one, double IPA. We got it. No, I know. That was actually awesome of you guys because you had come out and said, look, we did this. It did not work out.
It was very embarrassing.
But you know what? I think the not the average, but the average craft beer drinker or beer drinker who actually likes beer, and they're breweries who are trying to get away with like, well, we spent all this money and we brewed this, we're gonna add something to this, and it's not what we said it was gonna be, and kind of mask like the fact that it didn't turn out the way you wanted to. The fact that you came out and were like, this isn't it. We need a little more time.
Yeah, we couldn't do anything about it because it was such a naked beer. The problem, it was frustrating because we conveyed that. A lot of people were like, hey, thanks for doing that. But then we followed up and said, look, hey, we lost a batch of beer. Mm-hmm. Can you guys please fucking come in and buy some beer? We really need it. We just took a huge hit on a custom beer for you guys that has your name on it. And it went bad, and we don't have any sort of way of
making it something.
That.
You can't just.
We could file an insurance claim maybe on it, and we'd have to pay a deductible. Yeah. But it still didn't really matter. And what was crazy was no one came in that weekend. It was like the most frustrating thing. So like sometimes like we run into a trap. Sometimes we'll make something for a group, and like that's the only thing they want. it's like kind of a trap.
Yeah.
And so we have to be very careful. And I don't mean to get down on it, but that was the roughest week. And the staff they were so frustrated too because they took it hard.
Yeah.
Because I had come back in town, we tasted it. I'm like something's off on it,
but that's
so
the thing.
They were all frustrated. We never dump a batch. It happens like maybe once a year, maybe. It's a terrible, terrible experience.
But I think that's the realistic thing about what it like. We
wanted it to be perfect.
Well, and we started this conversation about where you're at as a smaller place, and like those are the things. Just like any other small business that exists. Like
Yeah.
things like that happen. Take a hit.
Yeah.
That's a real thing. That's a real thing. It's not just like, it didn't work, we dump it, move on to the next
Yeah.
thing. That's money literally down the drain.
Yeah, it was probably one of the worst days. I actually think I lost like one of my employees because of it, because he was so distraught about it.
Oof.
And I was kind of frustrated about it, but it was nothing anybody did that we just couldn't pinpoint what it was. It was something to do with a kind of a medicinal flavor that popped up on it, like at the very end, like right at a transfer point. It might have dissipated at some point, but it just kind of came through. It just wasn't right, and
We're familiar with that.
Yeah.
We did with our
I
barrel
mean,
aged beer that we.
I felt like it had something. Yeah, it had something to do with the chlorinated water or something, like the cleaning or the acid solution. But whatever it was, it didn't pass the test, and we were just like, I had just come back in town from a family vacation. And
Well
I was
relaxed.
I was
Here we
all-
go.
I was all jet lagged. I'm like trying to make a decision, all jet lagged. I'm just like, you know what? I'll make the calls. Because it was a highly publicized.
Yeah.
Even when I was on vacation, because when I left, I thought it tasted great. I was
Sure.
like, this is
Something happened. Yeah.
I'm proud of this.
Yeah.
Like, the neighborhood's gonna
That's a
love
Pilsner.
it. The neighborhood's gonna love us.
Yeah.
And then, like, I was going on social media and publicizing the event a few days before. Then I come home and it's just like, whoa, what happened?
Oh man.
And yeah, it
I
was,
can't imagine. Well, the good news is that you guys went back though, and
we did. Yeah, we finally got around to it. Unfortunately, because we do so many custom beers, that one got kind of thrown in the back, and then we eventually, about 3 months later, we brewed it again, and we kept a very close, like, we kept it under wraps.
Over-
we
yeah.
didn't even let them know that we'd brewed it until we knew that, until we were ready to package it. We're like, oh, by the way,
we did
we
it
have
again.
this beer. It's very good. So, like, let's do an event now. So,
Which is it's funny as a home brewer,
Yeah.
like lagers even now still kind of terrify me
Yeah.
because of the specific. It's about patience too, because it takes so long
Yeah.
to have it be done. And there's ways you can do it, like, and I've done it with, I think even when I worked here, was my first time I was doing a warm fermenting, quote unquote, lager. I was using a lager yeast, a dry yeast that would ferment at like 70 degrees, but it's a lager yeast. And so it had those fruity characteristics to it. And it
Yeah.
turned out good. In my perception, I enjoyed it, and I've done it since then, and gotten better at it, especially with the ingredients.
Yeah.
But there's so much more time that goes into a lager, which seems crazy when you think about like the most mass-produced beers in the
Yeah.
world. I feel like it's lagers, and you feel like, oh, it's lagers. When you mention like Budweiser, you have Bud Light or Budweiser, like, yeah, you might not like that beer, but that beer is done perfectly to what they want with their science and everything.
Yeah.
That every time they make it, it's exactly the same. It's not that easy.
well, they have
to
the
do that.
ability to, because they have such a large
Oh yeah,
facility, that they have the advantage of blending. So
of course. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. There's a
if
lot
there's
more.
any variations, we're going tank by tank.
Yeah.
So there's going to be variations. It's
Yeah.
like barrel by barrel. Like we have to
course.
blend barrels to kind of bring it back together. But when that was one of the frustrating things with starting a barrel program is every barrel is different. And
Yeah.
so like every barrel was a batch.
Yeah.
And then now we have the luxury of blending the barrels and having sort of a baseline.
And
so
building it
on
up a
a
little
really large scale,
No.
you're going to be pretty close every time.
Now your barrel program. Let's talk about that real quick, because
Yeah.
your barrel program, as we talked about in the beginning, that like or before we started recording, I think
Yeah.
that like that's kind of become, quote unquote, like your bread and butter, as far as like, because I remember having another VIP event where it was it was like a cold winter night. let me set this up for everybody. It was a cold winter night.
Cold and dark.
And we came
Dark and
here,
stormy night.
and it was like the first time I think I ever had a barrel-aged stout from you guys. I think we ended up in like the little back courtyard over there. I think Ken had a fire going. And it was, that's how long ago it was. Yeah. But I remember it was like not long after I had like Bourbon County for the first time.
Yeah.
And Mike and I came here, and I remember us both taking a sip and being like, how is this readily, like, you think of Goose Island's Bourbon County, you're like, oh, that's the big boys. Those are the big boys with their barrel-aged beer. And coming here and trying it, and both Mike and I were like, this is just as good as Bourbon County. I mean, why is this not like, flying off this? And I loved it. And so I've been interested in all of your barrel-aged beers since then because of just how well it stands out. And to this day, just your plain old barrel-aged Imperial Stout I feel like is up there with all the others that everybody goes crazy for. And I feel like people are snoozing on it by not coming by and being like, hey man, this is here.
We sell it pretty good. I mean, it's kind of cool to see people checking in on like the vintages now. So like there were some 2017 and 2018 check-ins, and
your vintages. I've never had a vintage.
They kind of let me know. They sort of let me know how it's going. I'm like, good, because that stuff terrifies me because the barrel age, like if something goes wrong on it, it's like the worst thing that can happen because it's
this all dropped down.
And people don't drink it right away. They cellar it. And put it somewhere, but. I remember the first time we like really nailed that recipe, and I was next door and pulled it out of the barrel, and it was just like mind blowing. Yeah, I'm like, whoa, we created that? Like, are you serious? And I'm like,
it sounds like our reaction from our barrel.
When we had our barrel, we pulled this. We're like, this is delicious. How did we do this?
I mean, it was just like the sticky molasses type. And I had a buddy with me there, and we both tasted it, and he was just like and then we had like someone walk in like for a tour, and we gave it to them, and they were like, they just poured it out.
Oh, Jesus.
Like, how dare you? You have no idea, like, what
gave that back to us.
That's like 1 year age, like in these Buffalo Trace like barrels, and you just poured it out. Like that's what I was thinking. I didn't say it to him like, oh wow, yeah, some people.
Oh, you know, motherfucker!
Like, like how dare you do that?
And if you're listening, that's for you.
But so that was like those are the first three people that had tried it, and so. But yeah, we have a good process for it, and we've replicated. We changed the yeast on it this year, and our beers got stronger. So
nice.
We have some that finish a little bit drier, which I don't know if it's the best thing, but it attenuates really well. And now we're up to like the 15.5, 16% on the stout, which might be a little bit. We need to age it a little bit longer with that, but it solved one of our problems because we were never attenuating above 12.5%. We always wanted to pop it into the 14, 15 zone just to get a little bit more of the alcohol body.
Now I'm going to go peek around in some of the local shops that I've noticed. Every now and then I'll see an Imperial Stout barrel aged from you guys on the shelf. And I think I'm going to look at the dates and see what I can. I've never aged it. I've never aged it.
We put the year on it.
Oh, nice.
And so that's how you know. And obviously it's probably November of that year. But and people. We were in bombers. We've gone to 500 milliliter.
I like those bottles more. And now
I like them too. Yeah.
Did you start that with the Fanny's collaboration? Was that around there, or was that it just happened to be around the same time?
I mean, I like it. I just always felt the bomber was too big. I wasn't a huge fan of putting them in cans. I know Revolution was we made a mistake on the cans where we forgot to do a separate UPC for the single can.
Oh, jeez.
That's for the 4-pack. So we're selling like 4-packs for like, $38, which is a hard pill to swallow unless, I mean, it's quality beer. Like,
for sure.
As good as
and even
anything
like,
you're going to get out there. But
you mentioned Revolution, like even some of their, some of their beer. I love all their deep wood stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They're
fantastic.
great. But the ones that where you're like, that's $35 for 4 12-ounce cans. Like that's, I mean, I know what goes into it, but it's still, no matter what, it's still a rough pill to swallow.
Yeah,
but $25 for 4 cans. Now you're talking.
Yeah, people
that's
are okay with, they're like a $15 bomber or $18 bomber. I mean, I see stuff like 25 for a bomber. So we did 500 milliliter for like $14 to $15.
Yeah, and that works great. And
Some people are saying that's still too low, but
I don't know. I feel like
we'll hold it there.
And it's when you get a bottle like that, that's still a good bottle. I did that with the Fanny's collaboration and the what was the other one? The Loch Ness. The
Lake Effect.
Lake Effect. Those two that I
should
got.
be like a 375.
And those were great for splitting because just like any other barrel aged stout, like when you and I, Brandon, when we do like some of those bigger beers, there's only been 1 or 2 bottles that you and I, when we had like a bomber, that we were like, okay, this is good, but it's not like over the top. No. But sorry, we kind of got off the we didn't get off of it, but tell people about what you offer for the barrel the project that they can sign up for.
Well, I mean, in addition to we do a lot of flagship beers as well. We have our IPA, our wit beer, Kolsch style, and others. So that's kind of what we do day to day. But on the side, which is a big side, which might be the main event of the brewery, is our barrel program. And so we have a lot of different barrels. I think this year we're probably about 80 or 90, close to 100 total barrels. And a lot of them are stouts, but we do lighter styles, we do wild ales, sours, a number of different, it's sort of our laboratory and our experimentation. And so in order to kind of sell it as a whole, we offer a subscription. We call it the Barrel Club. You get a T-shirt, and you get to choose 20 bottles.
You get cool glasses.
We give you glassware, and it's kind of modeled after a wine club. We do an exclusive event. It's like keyword exclusive. And,
buy into it, kids.
We don't know what that event's going to be, but it's going to be something.
I mean, we could set up a podcast during it if you wanted to.
But it's a fun thing. So it's like, and it's based on my experience with other alcohol producers, whether it's the winery or the distillery. So like,
and it seems like you're offering
it's a pretty good deal.
I was going to say, like, I'm someone who sucks at pulling the trigger on paying a lot of money up front, which your deal, which I'm going on the record, I have not done, but the amount of beer, it's almost kind of ridiculous in a good way. Like how much you're offering for the amount of money that you're putting.
It is a good deal, and but the reason why we offer it that way is if you buy it at the time of year that we're really pushing it, what you're doing is you're funding the barrel program.
Yeah. It's like you're locking down a year's worth of beer, of like barrel aged beers.
And it's during the time of year where we're the slowest, like January and February. Okay, so if you buy it in December, then we buy all these barrels, we brew all this really expensive beer that we're not going to make any money off of for a whole year.
Right.
And and you guys. Yeah, I mean you're gonna reap benefits off that because you helped us, and that's kind of the way it works.
And it's how many beers would you say it is like a month that like you end up with that you're doing it? Does it vary per month or?
It's usually like, I mean, it's 20 bottles, so it's roughly like two beers a month.
Which is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like,
pretty
so
good.
it's like 2
It's
bottles.
year round.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I mean.
These
Like,
are the
so
lighter
you get, like,
styles and the darker styles.
exactly, and you go like
Darker styles are always going to be the end of the year.
Of
So we have
course.
this thing called the Stout Pack. A lot of people sign up for it in December, and they think they're going to get their beers in December.
It's like, no.
It's like, no, the following December.
Yeah. You've just paid for next Christmas and
And
New
then they'll
Year's
come
to
in,
be
they'll,
awesome.
they'll see, that's the 20. Okay, if you want the 2019, you go for it. But,
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun talking to vintages because it's like you see that in the wine and the distillery because we're just kind of doing the same thing that they're doing.
The only person I know that has a vintage right now, actually 2. So Mike, my brother-in-law, has a very old pamplemousse
Oh, God.
from you. And
Hopefully it's chilled.
he's got it in a nice cool cellared area that always
good.
stays cold. And we keep going back to it like, are we going to drink this? Are we going to drink it? And then Brandon, you're the only other person I know that has an aged, and which is the Fanny's bottle.
Yeah.
I tried aging it as long as I could, and then I drank it. I had to drink it.
I think the Fanny's one has held up pretty well. We got to keep the vintage. We don't keep the archive, which we need to start doing. But
Good idea.
the barrel age goes out.
Yeah, and that's it. So
I don't hold on to them.
how can people sign up for the barrel age brewer? Is
They
it
just
still
go
is
to
it
our
still active?
website,
Just go to
lakeeffectbrewing.com, and it's the barrel club.
yeah.
And we've got a lot of members this year, and you get a box, and you make your picks, and it's sort of like the Walgreens pharmacy model. You show up, is it ready? Yeah. It's in the box.
It's funny because every time I've come to a VIP event that I make it to, there is always someone here who's like, "Oh yeah, I gotta get my beers."
Yeah.
There's always something waiting for them. I'm like, that's kind of cool. I mean, I like coming to these events and grabbing beer as well, but it would be nice if I just like. So what's available for me to take home tonight that I've already paid into?
Yeah.
That's super
And
cool.
The other question too is for people that have not been here, where can they find you? And you've done a lot of videos and stuff describing of how people can find the location, but like in your best words, how do people find Lake Effect Brewing?
Like our physical
Yeah,
location.
how do people come here? And then like
And other places.
and
What's
you
cool
have
is we
hours
do-
that you're open.
Yeah,
like-
I mean, we're open Monday through Saturday, generally 10 to 5 or 10 to 7. And we'll probably open Sundays during the summer again. I mean, we're at the end of this alley between the 2 viaducts.
It is kind of
behind a costume shop.
yeah. It is
And
kind
we-
of tricky to
we
find,
do
but
have
there
the
are signs on the
lights, we have a
street. Yeah.
banner. The banner has helped. We had a sandwich board out there, and
I remember that.
kept getting smashed.
Yeah. The wind would blow it over.
Yeah, they blow it over. Or
We'd have to bring it
someone would
in.
steal it, or a truck would run over it. But yeah, I mean that's the best thing. Is just to when you're between the 2 viaducts on Montrose, between Cicero and Knox, there's the costume shop, and just turn into the little side alley and go all the way to the back. And we've got lights in the alley that will guide you as best as possible.
So when you put it into your GPS, it'll probably give you 4727 West Montrose.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
that's the
say. I saw you
costume
look. I saw
Yeah, that's the costume shop. So when you go down Montrose, whether you're coming east or west, you're going to run into it's an industrial area.
Yeah.
And if you're coming west, if you go left, you're going to go to a parking lot.
Yep.
If you go right, there's an alley. Go down the alley. take a little trip down this strange little alley.
If you're walking uphill in an alley,
Yeah.
you are heading the right way. It is tricky. I've tried to explain it to people before.
Feel like your life is in danger.
You're heading down the right spot, and your life,
spot.
and your life is not in danger. In fact,
Yeah, you will find something that you'll
if you-
be like, hey, that's cool.
if you come in here,
Follow the lights; they will take you there.
one thing I learned when I was working here was how personable you get when people stop in. Like, like it is an experience of, hey, this is what we have. Would you like to try this? Would you like to try this? This is what I have. You can try.
Yeah.
It's although you're not a tap room, someone's stopping in here and they're like, oh, I thought maybe I've heard that before. I thought maybe it was a tap room. It's like no, but it's a bottle shop, and I would say 9 out of 10 times you're gonna leave here after sampling some things and then buying something on the way out.
Yeah.
I mean, there's because you've got the growler filling. You can fill growlers here because you guys always have stuff ready to go. So it's just worth the trip to stop on in.
Yeah, that's how we are. Like, if you find us, we'll take care of you.
You found us. You found the treasure.
Yeah, I actually, and it's still to this day, after all these years, anybody who comes out of the alley, I recognize that, especially if it's your first time.
I had to do that, I think, twice when I was here. I tried to really sell it.
I will, because I'm like, hey, you know what? You came all the way down the alley. You found us.
Yeah, you found us. Like, that's a prize.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So
it's a prize for you
can
and then a
try
prize for
whatever
them.
you want.
Yeah.
But, like, take something away or whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's something I really appreciate, and I hopefully in the future, I mean, we are working on the next step that will have like a real street frontage, ideally in this neighborhood, might be in other neighborhoods, but that's just, I mean, our goals are pretty modest. Like, we just want to be on the street. That's all we care
To
about.
actually have the foot traffic where we're not having to sell, like, you're walking down an alley you might not feel uncomfortable with, but it's safe.
I mean, we've had, because we do tours and we've done it since day one, and we've had a surprising number of people come visit us, and it's stunning how many people, and they always remember coming to see us, and
it's very unique.
yeah, we've had thousands of people come down this alley.
Yeah.
And people I work, maybe you realize that too. You're kind of like stunned, like people are coming in here.
Yeah.
Like, how do they find you?
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, I don't know.
I did have
found us.
there was a day where I was actually working
Yeah.
the counter. I was done with my deliveries. There was no brewing happening. You had something to do.
People just start popping in.
And there was people who were like, "Oh, we've never been here before," and I was like, "How the fuck did you find this thing?"
Yeah.
And they did. And then there was someone else who was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna grab this and that," and I was like, "Okay, you've clearly been here, so welcome back."
Yeah, some people, they're like from the neighborhood, and they're just regular shoppers. But we also have like the bus tours,
Yeah.
the barrel run, and so
We've been to some VIP nights where all
Yeah.
of a sudden, oh my God, there's a bus tour. We need to leave.
that was our anniversary.
I remember that. Yeah, sorry, it's the anniversary now. Yeah,
Oh my god,
it was like, oh, this is it. This is the end.
that was great. I don't even remember. Like, there's that one tour.
I
we
do.
came
That was a
in.
lot of fun.
Yeah, my wife was there. And I'm like, I remember them coming in, but I don't remember giving the tour. She's like, you didn't give the tour. Like, someone
It's
else.
like
gave
walking
the tour.
around.
You're done. But, yeah.
Well, Clint, thanks a lot for
Yeah,
letting us come by and coming on to the show. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
What's the website? LakeEffectBrewing.com? Is that
Yep.
it?
Yep.
LakeEffectBrewing.com.
That's it.
Go ahead and you can find him on Facebook, Instagram. You guys on Twitter?
Yeah, we're on Twitter. You name it.
I
we're
clearly
everywhere.
don't follow you on Twitter, which I need to do.
Yeah.
And speaking as someone, I worked here for a short amount of time, very short.
Yeah.
But I loved this place beforehand, and it's nice to have you guys here as a part of a neighborhood that I grew up in and making, great beer. I know I said that Espresso Gone Stout was my favorite, but I didn't even get a chance to touch on Falcon Dive, which is one of my favorite.
Yeah.
So many more,
IPAs.
too.
So we're gonna end this with this is goodbye for now, Clint. But I'm
All right, yeah.
not almost positive. I'm positive we're going to meet again because there's other things that we're going to do
Sure,
this year. So this isn't your last time on the show, so we're going to hold you to that, okay?
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Brandon,
All right, guys.
I'll
Yeah.
see you in hell. No, I love you.
Shut up, Tony.